Hello, it's Pastor Steve, continuing our journey cover to cover through the Bible. And today we're looking at March 16, the book of Deuteronomy, chapters 13 through 16. Now, I love the book of Deuteronomy, and I think I'm in good company because I believe Jesus quoted the book of Deuteronomy more than any other book in the Bible. And I know you've already heard some descriptions in other 5-minute videos, but since this is my first one, let me just say, I like to think of the book of Deuteronomy is Moses' last will and testament. It's a series of sermons he delivers before the people cross over to the promised land. He himself will not be allowed to cross over. And so he tells them what is the most important elements of the law that they need to remember. Now, as we go through today's passage, we see some things which are familiar, what you've seen in Leviticus and Numbers and even Exodus. But some things stand out in the book of Deuteronomy. One is this word remember. Comes up all the time. It's about remembering everything that God has done for this people and how they should keep these things in mind. Our passage begins with this call from Moses to listen to the Lord and cling to the Lord. And how are you supposed to do that? With your heart and soul. Once again, this is a theme that comes up. God is looking for people who truly believe in Him, truly worship Him. I find this interesting because in our culture, we have many people that dabble in religion. You've heard the phrase, oh, he's a nominal Catholic. That means he's kind of Catholic in name only. Or you've heard this phrase in terms of Jewishness, that person, oh, he's Orthodox Jewish, which means he actually believes. So another kind of Jew, you would say, kind of an atheist. God is looking for people who truly believe and cling to Him. Now, what does God think of you? And that is what I have on the screen here. He views you as the New Living Translation says, special possession. My favorite translation, the New International Version, says treasured possession. Similar meaning. The Hebrew word is segula. That's what God thinks of you as, His treasured possession. If you were to pause and say, what is your most treasured possession? For most of us, it's probably our children or somebody close to us physically. It's probably not an item. Oh, we have some items that are special to us, but at the end of the day, we know it really comes down to people. And God is calling you and I His treasured possession. Now, there's another interesting thing. Have you ever noticed that in Hebraic culture or kosher culture, you can't have a cheeseburger? And you may wonder, why is that? Why did the Jews come to that conclusion that you cannot mix meat and dairy? If you go to Israel, just try to get a cheeseburger. Not an easy thing to do. And the reason is because of a verse that shows up in our passage, and that is Deuteronomy 14, verse 21. Do not boil a goat in its mother's milk. And you might say, why? Well, you're a people separate unto me, and you're not to do this. But this got translated by rabbis to mean, because you don't know where that goat came from, you better not take the chance of serving meat and dairy together. So because of that one verse, to be kosher means not to eat meat and dairy, which is just interesting, but that comes from this particular verse. Now, in chapter 15, there is a principle that emerges which transcends time. The principle is this. If you are a person who has resources, you are to use them to take care of the poor. Now, the first emphasis is your fellow Israelites. From our perspective, we would say people in our church. If you know people in our church community who are in need, we should be generous. That's what God calls. But then He broadens it to poor in general. And He says something very similar to Jesus. The poor you will always have with you. So this is something we are to do on a regular basis as a lifestyle. And I hope with joy. Why? Because God has been so kind to us. Therefore, we express our kindness to others. Now here comes that theme, which comes over and over and over in the book of Deuteronomy. Why should you do this? Remember, you were slaves in Egypt. This phrase is going to be repeated time and time again because it's important. I think for us, that's a great phrase too. Remember where you came from. It helps you make good, reasonable choices for the future. And I'm sure all of us have had times in our life where we were financially in need or emotionally in need. Well, if you're in a good place right now, remember. Give generously. Share emotionally. And we will become the people that God desires us to be. And we are His treasured possession. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.